So when we get to an access location for a trout stream, the first thing we do is we do our access inventory, which allows us to record information about the access site for reporting back to the DNR's water access inventory, which is what helps allocate funding through the aquatic invasive species prevention funding. So when we are recording the aquatic invasive species that we notice at an access site, we select what type of species that we're seeing. Here we have reed canary grass and wild parsnip at this location. We're going to continue looking and see if we see other invasive species at the access location. So when we're monitoring at a trout stream, we always go downstream from the access site. It's really easy for aquatic plants, snails and things like that to move along with us downstream of an access. It's really hard for a plant to uproot and move upstream. So we like to make sure that when we're monitoring, we're always going downstream and not upstream. Next, we move into our access monitoring and we collect our data in this app. We will collect collector's name, the access identification, the date. This is a perennial trout stream. Around us is natural area, and then we'll move into the average stream width, which will help us determine the length of stream we need to monitor, and then how many transects we need to monitor along that stretch. So Allison is moving downstream to find an area of average stream width. In most streams, the average stream width is not right at the access point. As you can see behind us here, the stream is much wider after exiting the bridge. And that's very common because with bridge design, they're trying to spread the water out to make a larger area for floodwaters when we have flooding. So downstream is where we'll normally find our natural stream banks and average stream width. 4 meters across is our average stream width at this location. So when we look at the app and we type in 4, it will automatically give us our stream length to monitor, and from there we mark the 50 to 100. So we have 5 sites that need to be monitored in 72 meters. We divide 72 by 4 because that's the number of meters between each transect that we need to monitor, and that gives us the length we need to move downstream at each location. Since we're done finding the average stream length, we're going to move back upstream to the bridge to the start of this access site to begin our monitoring. As you can see here at Trout Run Creek, the water is very clear. You can see right down through it, which is just beautiful. You can also see weeds such as curly-leaf pondweed in the water. Curly-leaf pondweed is an invasive weed species native to Europe and Asia, and was brought here initially and released in aquariums. You can see over here there's a lot of curly-leaf pondweed in the water. Allison's going to begin monitoring at the stream access at the immediate downstream side of the bridge. She begins on one bank and will move across the stream to the second bank. What are you finding in the net? Moss. A lot of aquatic moss. I'll move to you. Yeah. A lot of aquatic moss in here today. There's also some curly-leaf pondweed in there. The bottom of the stream is covered in silt, which is washed from upstream. It makes it difficult to move easily in the stream because our boots get sucked in. Oh, and there you can see all the silt that was pulled up and is plugging our net. Allison's gonna carefully try to get the silt and water to move so that we can see what's in the water at the base of the stream. So she's gotten most of the water out, and what do you see? Mud. Yeah, so not a whole lot living in that silt. While she's doing that, I'll open the app back up to record what we're finding. So on the app, the first thing we fill in is a habitat type. At this location, we would consider this area a run because the water is moving swiftly straight and is not a deep pool or a riffle. So our next site will be 18 meters downstream. So Allison is pacing that distance out, and we'll see you at the next stop. You notice as we move downstream that some of the curly-leaf pondweed has dislodged and is floating along with us. This is very common of curly-leaf pondweed as it has very weak stems. And this is one way that it spreads. We're at Transect 2, and Allison has begun monitoring the banks for invasive species. She'll move across the stream looking for aquatic invasives in the water. She'll also pull up rocks to look for any snails that might be on rocks if she can find any in the water. On the stream banks at this site, I see reed canary grass and wild parsnip. As we move across to the other bank, I see reed canary grass again, but I'm also seeing another invasive species right here in this small shrub tree. We have a buckthorn plant, so we'll mark that and identify that at this site as well. As she monitors the stream, I will begin to fill out the app with the information for this transect. First, we need to identify if this section of stream is a riffle runner pool. We will identify this section as a run. If my thumb would work, there it goes. The land use in this area is natural, and the substrate that we're standing on is a mixture of gravel and silt. Are you noticing anything else, Allison? Next, we mark down the invasive species that we are observing. Here we have aquatic plants and terrestrials. Have you found any curly-leaf pondweed at this site? Not right here. Are there any other aquatic vegetation or plants in the water here? I am noticing, yep. So this plant, this bright green plant, is known as water speedwell. So we're going to dip down and show you that plant. From there, we'll just double check looking across. There's a lot of aquatic moss in this area, but I am concurring with Allison that we are not seeing any invasive curly-leaf pondweed at this exact location. Unless it's found, oh, there it is. It's hidden underneath the aquatic moss. So we do have curly-leaf pondweed, so we'll mark that and identify that as on our app as well as our wild parsnip. And we'll get pictures again, no samples needed. Taking 3 pictures of 3 invasive species. We'll start with the curly-leaf pondweed. Then we'll move to our banks, which have the wild parsnip and reed canary grass. We could actually just go with 2 pictures at this site because the reed canary grass and wild parsnip are in the same picture. After that, we move downstream again another 18 meters to our next site. While Allison paces that off, I'm going to take a look at our stream bank on this side. I see some exposed area which has eroded, and in areas like this I am looking for any evidence of rusty crayfish which burrow holes horizontally into the stream bank. In this location, I'm not seeing any active evidence that that is occurring at this site. Allison has found our next transect, which we need to monitor for invasive species. This is truly a beautiful site. Seeing the exposed bedrock along the stream bank. It looks like there is going to be a deep pool in this section of stream. However, we'll probably still consider this a run since the area that Allison is transecting is more even depth and smooth running water. We have just monitored our last site, our transect, number 5. And now we're going to head back up to the access point, making sure to stay in the water so that we're not trespassing on private property. At each location we did find curly leaf pondweed at this stream and reed canary grass. At some of the transects we also had some wild parsnip or buckthorn or honeysuckle at the stream banks.